Okay. Everything's slow. Like everything has been slow loading. So we are finally recording, but like StreamYard has been thinking, bank websites have been thinking, credit card websites have been thinking. And I'm like, I get why we get so frustrated with it, but part of me is like, what's going on?
I have been asking that question a lot. What is going on? And my husband goes, "You're such a conspiracy theorist." And I was like, no, I'm serious.
I mean,
it was working just fine. And now all of a sudden.
And also, like, that's no longer a derogatory term because of the way that life has played out since 2020 in particular. Mm-hmm. When it comes to conspiracy theorists, there's all these memes and it does make it fun to talk about. But like literally the majority of things that are brought up from your conspiracy theory friends, it takes 6 months for them to be found as accurate.
Yep.
It's really just a gap in information. And I'm convinced that the people who are conspiracy theorists are also the people that were always told that they were weird their whole life because they were capable of seeing things that other people were just not tapped and tuned into. Like I don't know how to explain it. I think you'll understand what I'm saying. It's a sensory thing. It's a feeling. It's something that you can't fully explain when you're just, like we just said, everything's moving really slow on the internet. What's going on? And sure, we can logicize it. Like there's a lot of people streaming and, everyone's on bandwidth, blah, 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 blah. What's going on?
What they were 6 months ago too.
Correct. And a year ago. And, everybody was at home, arguably more so on their electronics during COVID and shit still worked.
Yep.
So welcome back to another episode of the TNA podcast. Where we will be talking about a smorgasbord of things today. You're listening to the TNA podcast.
Totally not appropriate.
We're your hosts, Taylor Sappington, a cosmic cartographer, medical astrologer, and herbalist decoding the intersection of soul, body, and belief.
And Adrienne and I, a psychoalchemist trained in East Asian medicine, vibrational healing, and the sacred science of your nervous system.
Together, we blend ancient tools, clinical wisdom, and unapologetic truth-telling.
From main events to metaphysics, tarot to tonics, karma to cancel culture, nothing is off limits and everything is on the table.
This space is for the boldly curious,
the ones who crave uncomfortable conversations, crave deeper insight, and are done pretending that they don't feel what they feel.
So turn it up,
tune in,
and don't say we didn't warn you.
Welcome to TNA.
Adrienne was making mention of a medication that somebody she is close to is on, and what this medication is doing to this individual's liver and gallbladder. And it's a medication that falls into, would you say, anti-anxiety, SSRI, SNRI, that classification?
This person takes an SSRI, this person takes an SNRI, and there's a mood stabilization aspect. So there are 3 different medications that this person takes on a regular basis. And it's been very hard to watch the weight gain, the energy shift, the mental fog, the lack of overall energy for a very young person just
dissipate.
On the vine. It's so sad.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me. I was saying, and then I was like, we should just hit record because this would be, a good topic to discuss for the public at large. It's interesting to me that in 2026, this is our only perceived option. And we could get into the nuance of this. I think it's important for me to mention nuance before I say what I'm about to say, right? So just remember, everything in life requires an element of nuance. Yep. And I am absolutely a person that, started her career, over 15 years ago? Am I really that old?
I've been saying that too.
Holy shit, man. Okay, so started my clinical career over 15 years ago. Okay. And I was a diehard conventional medicine chick. Like, you could not convince me that vaccines were problematic. You could not convince me that medication was problematic. And what's interesting is what precursed my education in a clinical field was the complete opposite. I was always the black sheep, crunchy. Let me go to the organic market. And something happened in my 4.5 years of education and then fellowship and being literally saturated in hospitals that changed my mind, right? Where I was like, oh no, this is the bee's knees. This is the shit. Everyone needs this. And then I became once again the chronically ill patient. And that's just been the repetitive chapter in my life of like, I get better and I, think I have a new hold and fresh perspective on life. And then I fall ill again. And when I fell ill while I was working in the hospital, bearing witness to other people that were being served, some of the interventions that I was being served and I was witnessing them not getting better, right? We had frequent flyers in the hospital, and the hospital would get penalized for people that came back within a 30-day period if they were coming back for the same diagnoses. So there was always this, is there another diagnosis that we can admit them under or keep them in observation so the admittance of this person doesn't count against us and like we don't get penalized financially because we didn't properly manage the chronic condition. So, you see that enough. Yes, I see the big sigh that's going on with Adrienne right now. This is how hospitals work. It hasn't changed. So if you're unaware of how hospitals work today, okay, when you go to the ER, their goal is to treat you in triage. Their goal is to keep you in observation. Their goal is to not admit you, right? Once they admit you, it's a completely different financial setup, especially when it comes to insurance. Observation, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have to pay out of pocket for. It's going to fall on you, the patient. Now, once they admit you, dependent upon what you're being admitted for, the clock is ticking. So there was a saying in the hospital, as soon as you're admitted, they're planning your discharge. Okay, well, if that's the perspective that your care team is taking the moment that you're admitted, do you actually think that you're going to get the care that you need? And a lot of the times people are discharged prematurely. They're not actually stable and they're not going home with what they need. Oh, and the other thing that was highly problematic was the fact that there was medication duplication. So when you have multiple hospitalists, because hospitals used to allow your primary care doctor to come in and do rounds. That's how hospitals used to work. And in some small communities, that's still allowed. I think it's a beautiful setup. Okay, the person that sees me in the community is also caring for me in the hospital. There's no overlap. But the majority of hospitals that are now corporations, think like, I'm not even going to say names. We don't need any lawsuits. Okay. There are a lot of hospitals that are corporations. You can think of the big one. We all have them in our city, state, towns, right? When they are run like that, internists and hospitalists are what run the rounds on the floors. And you may come on when a hospitalist is getting ready to go off shift, right? For several days. You could come on where they have 2 more days and then someone else is picking up and running with their notes and their ball. You know what I mean? But the majority of the time, somebody is being cared for by 2 to 3 individuals during the duration of their stay. And nobody's talking to one another. And the nurses are actually going to be your best friend because those are the people that you're going to, 1, be most consistent with. And 2, they're the ones really managing your care, filling these hospitalists in on what's going on. So you've got this person coming in for 5 minutes, making massive decisions, and the person who's been with you for 5, 10, 15 hours, feeding them information, but ultimately the decision regarding your care is up to this one person. Like that is the setup in our medical system. Does that sound like a continuum of care? But all stemming from the comment of like, it's 2026. This is the best we got for somebody. Like multiple medications where this is going to piss a lot of people off. There is no evidence. And when I say no evidence, I mean no evidence, guys. Like I mean 0. And I'm going to encourage you to do your own research. It is so infuriating. There is no evidence that SSRIs and SNRIs do what they say they do. 0.
Well, and the reported findings, right, by the end user, there are huge percentages of people who get put on them that go, well, I tried this one and it didn't work for me.
Or
from an herbalist perspective.
Anxious, or
correct.
It took away or amplified my appetite, or it made me so lethargic. I have been on, I think you share a bit of this story too. I have been on Zoloft, Wellbutrin, Paxil, and Xanax. I've been on all 4 of them at various points in my life. It didn't last long because I wasn't in body.
Yeah. I don't have any personal experience with them, but I have familial personal experience with them. And I had the privilege of taking some continuing education with an herbalist who is like a specialist in mental health. And I'm so grateful that I took that course because he started out our entire seminar by saying, only 23 to 25% of the population that takes any sort of mental health related medication will report. So it's not studies, will report. So this is anecdotal self-reporting, folks, that they are seeing any change in how they feel.
Can we just take a moment too? Ooh, this is going to get juicy. Okay. So we're going to take the word of 23 to 25% of the users of the SSRIs, SNRIs, that classification of drugs. We're going to take their word as data. And we're going to finagle it so that we can utilize it for marketing purposes and prove through anecdotal medicine that these things are working for a subset of the population. And yet, when someone chooses to report to theirs website, like the vaccine adverse reaction database, it's bullshit. And we can't rely on it because it's anecdotal. This is the fucking clown show that we call medicine. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. Well, like doctors have to report into that system, and
most of them don't know how.
And I was going to say about 10% of the overall professional population that has the ability to put that kind of information in will actually submit that kind of information. So VAERS reports are not really accurate as to how wide scale certain reactions and experiences are with different things.
I was a vaccine injured kid. I can say without a shadow of a doubt that the vaccine injury that I sustained as a 6-month-old baby that's documented in my pediatric records that I have on hand, because I'm that chick. Like I went and got all my pediatric records. I am convinced that was the beginning of the end when it came to my immune system.
Yep.
And I am convinced that is what caused decades and decades of physiological dysfunction. And my parents, bless them, they did the best that they could, even though I had a reaction to, is it DTaP? I think it's DTaP.
Yep. Yeah. A lot of people have issues with that one.
Okay. Yep. Had a massive reaction to that one. Everything but death. Okay. Everything but death. My parents continued to vaccinate me because they didn't know any better.
See, my mom was vaccine injured. And at that stage of time, there really weren't good reporting systems. And they were just like, oh, well, you probably shouldn't give her the rest of these. However, the way that the reporting system works right now, it does not matter that there is a family history of hospitalization and near death.
Yep. I
can't get a medical waiver. I can't get one for my daughter because even though there's a family history, it does not matter.
Oh, so
I have to actually play in that fucking pool, and I have to actually introduce it into my daughter's system and prove that there is an adverse effect.
Yeah, that's how it works these days.
Permanently harm my daughter in order to get a medical waiver. Because I currently live in a state that decided a little while ago to remove our rights around religious and philosophical exemptions. And now we're at the mercy of medical exemptions. And if you end up refusing anything like that, you have to sign a paper that says, you know, you're going to harm your kid, which is so fucked up.
Yeah, because then it puts you in the position of admitting negligence. And I would argue that the parents who are doing their research and choosing, yes, I said doing their research, right? Like, and I imagine parents that choose to vaccinate do their research. I'm not saying that one rules out the other, but as a parent and person, I mean, I got vaccines all the way up to and through my early 20s because working in hospital systems, you have to have them. I stopped with the flu. Like that was my first line in the sand. I'm not doing it. And they ostracize you by making you wear a mask for the entire season. Okay, fine. Small price to pay, but it's almost like the scarlet letter.
Yeah.
You know the people who chose to forego certain interventions, I'm saying that in air quotes, because of what they require you to do while you're in the hospital, you know, which is fascinating to me. But I can say what you were saying was like you signing a piece of paper, which places you in the position of against your own will, admitting neglect, right? And negligence. I would say arguably most parents who are choosing not to have done excess research, like nauseating amounts of research. Okay. And it's not easy. I think most people, there's this like misnomer. It's not easy to be the person that goes against the grain in this world.
Oh, yeah. Just look at all the vaccine stuff in 2020 and the way that things were handled here. They were expecting you to take a vaccine card in to be able to go to certain restaurants, to go to, you know, certain
live
events and things like that.
Of patient privacy too. Like, do we see all the conflicting variables here? Like HIPAA is there for a reason, you know, like encryption is there for a reason. And also you can't come into this restaurant without a card that shows me what medical procedures you have. Like, do we see how conflicting that is? Do we see how those two don't actually go together?
It's where some of my dating life stopped because my husband was like, I can't take you anywhere. And I was like, nope.
Yeah. And then everybody,
walk.
right? Everyone knows your business when it's really none of theirs, right? And then people, because groupthink is a very real thing, they start to formulate opinions off of the one variable that they're being exposed to, as opposed to the multifaceted human that landed in that one decision.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. Like, I think that's starting to crack though.
I've been watching that slowly crack over a period of time because a lot of what I currently do, people thought was woo-woo and weird before 2020. And then there was this huge, like, at the beginning, it was, oh, I have time to actually like learn about this thing I've been curious about. And then it became, well, the beginning of 21 when the healthcare professionals started being required to receive the vaccine, that I had this big influx of people that came in, people who thought I was woo-woo and weird, all of a sudden reached out to me and was like, I'm having strangeness with my cycle. And I'm like, I know what you do for work. Let me ask, have you been vaccinated? We got to a point where I could tell you which manufacturer they had.
Based on how the period was presented.
Based on how their bleed showed up.
Yeah.
Like, it was wild. I wouldn't have never believed that. And I mean, I wear fucking tinfoil hat, people, like, and I would have never believed that until I saw it, which also made me question, well, why are these so dramatically different if there's like one way to solve this problem? And there's these different manufacturers creating allegedly the same thing. Yeah. But I was seeing in people's bleeding history, the headache patterns, the body aches, all the things that they had never had. I mean, their periods weren't perfect before that, but then all of a sudden they got like wildly different. And it was happening within 30 to 60 days after getting vaccinated the first time. This is not even boosters and subsequent stuff. So like, that's just the first installment that they got. And all of a sudden I had this big boom of people reaching out to me, asking questions about it. And so
I think that was our first do-si-do too. Like, I think that they're getting more creative in how they want to introduce it into the population. I was reading an article last night where scientists are currently toying with whether or not they can put it in edibles. And by edibles, I mean spinach, lettuce, meat, which meat to me, I'm like, that's a little easier. Like, obviously, synergy, the cow eats the grass, contains B12 through the bacteria. Like, what is our greatest source of B12? It's grazing animal-based protein, right? Okay, so I can see them doing it via our meat production, which is why it's so important to know your farmer. Okay. But I read an article last night where they're attempting to place mRNA vaccines in laboratory right now in things like spinach. I'm like, fuck, man, I'm going to have to figure out how to grow fucking everything. I'm going to have fucking lettuce towers in my house.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's getting to that point.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, as a very informed person, I felt like I hit a wall not that long ago where there was something that I was buying for my son, and man, I had researched the hell out of it and, made sure it didn't have seed oils and it didn't have this and it didn't have that and and all this stuff. And then saw an article about how disclosure rules have changed for the FDA. And in fact, even though it is not disclosed on the fucking label, this product has seed oils in it. I was so pissed. I'm like, it does not matter how much you do the research. They try to slide it in wherever they possibly can. And it's so wrong. I mean, has the fact that we have like an epidemic in the United States around mental health issues and obesity escaped anyone?
Well, I mean, let's talk about that right there too. Like, let's put our thumb on the obesity epidemic, right? Because where does that come from? We know obesity is a multifaceted metabolic disease. Okay. Yes. For those of you that are uninformed, it is not just people eating themselves into an oblivion, right? Like, obesity has metabolic ties to the adrenals and brain function. It has metabolic ties, obviously, to the thyroid and ovarian function. It has ties to the gastrointestinal function. It has ties to exposure in our food and in our water, as well as our external environment, right? So obesity is a multifaceted disease. Like, what's happening with our kids? If you have kids, you know this. If you have friends with kids, you know this. If you have nieces and nephews or grandchildren, you know this. What has happened to our food? It has become hyper palatable. Right. So everything that we eat, unless we're taking it out of the dirt in our garden bed out back, okay, has ingredients that are designed. The list is this big. Okay. There are very few brands that don't contain these ingredients. Right. But when it comes to, brands, they are utilizing ingredients that create an addictive cycle in your biochemistry to keep you wanting more and keep you coming back wanting more every time. So how in the hell, and a lot of people, we've also seen this too, right? It doesn't matter how clean they eat and how much they exercise.
Yes. That's the key right there, because I want to take the shame piece out of it for the people who are being mindful of what it is they're eating and moving their body, especially when you get into perimenopause, man. People start thinking they need more of a caloric deficit because we were saturated in that fat-free culture when we were all growing up.
Jenny Craig.
And Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, all that kind of stuff. And we need healthy fats in order to...
That's how you lubricate. Like, everybody is on this kick of like electrolytes and hydration. First of all, most of those are going to give you gut rot. Okay. So most of the electrolyte powders, including some of the main name brands that will remain unmentioned here. Okay. But like, a lot of those are not actually utilizing good form of the salts or the minerals that we need exposure to. They're lacking synergy. And I'm sorry, stevia is a problem. Stevia actually dysregulates blood sugar. And there's now evidence to back that up. Unless you're eating the bitter plant, the green, right? Like, again, growing it in your backyard. I have it in my garden. I can grow it here easily. It's actually a bitter that you can chew on. It's not meant to be utilized as a sweetener. So the white powder that you're getting in the green packet, fucking brilliant marketing. Hello. You know what I mean? With the maltodextrin and the some form of sugar alcohol in white powder is not stevia, babe. Like, you might have like 0.3% stevia in that, right? We have this obsession with hydration and fucking powders and electrolytes. Go make yourself a tea. I don't know how else to put it. Like, get you some nettles and some oat straw and, some tulsi and some mint. Put it out in the sun and let it solar steep. Add some raw honey. Babe, you got the best electrolyte you could possibly ask for in that. A little bit of, mineral salts. Like, you're good to go. You don't need these fancy powders that are $40 a bag, right? But we have this obsession with hydration. We have, I think to a degree, this either overconsumption of fat because #carnivore keto, right? Or this underconsumption of fat, which our cells become lubricated via fat. And if your kidneys are shot in terms of chi, You're not metabolizing all the water you're drinking.
No, it's going straight through. I had a client that came in not that long ago and was like, I had the weirdest labs. And I was like, as she's sitting in my office with her water bottle. And I'm like, really? What happened? And so they were like, oh, well, this number was off and this number was off. And I looked at her and I was like, how many of those do you drink a day?
Yes.
And she like looked at me funny. And I was gesturing to the bottle she brought in with her. I said, how many of those do you drink a day? I was like, yes, you need to stay hydrated. And yes, when you are yin deficient, okay, perimenopause, you want to be more hydrated because you feel thirstier. However, there is a balance because otherwise you're flushing out sodium, potassium, trace minerals. Like you are overdoing it because your body isn't even holding on to what you're taking in.
And pure water that's not filtered is a solvent. Let me say that one more time. If you are drinking unfiltered water, this is going to send somebody into a spiral. Don't crash your car. If you're drinking water that is not filtered, it's a solvent. Do we all know what solvents do? They extrapolate precious resources from tissue. Think battery acid.
Yep.
So when I said like put the pin in the obesity conversation though, how convenient now we have GLP-1s. And how many people in the population are on a GLP-1 through, and I'm not shaming you. I want to make sure this is clear. A lot of it is misunderstanding and miseducation, thus misleading, right? But how many people are on GLP-1s and they're working with a wellness spa or a health coach that is getting it from some quote unquote physician? There are 500 pharmacies, maybe a little bit more in the United States that are verified to compound these medications. They are indicated for diabetics. It's just like thyroid medication. Thyroid medication was originally a weight loss medication. It never actually received FDA approval to address thyroid problems. And if you look at the research, the long-standing research, they're shitty at it. Oh man, I'm pressing all sorts of buttons today. I can see it in Adrienne's face.
I actually didn't know that one. I made that my face because I didn't even know that
They have different molecular weight.
Makes sense.
So when you look at the way things work in the body, it's like a key to a door lock, right? It has to have a key to a keyhole. It has to match in order to unlock the door, right? So the molecular weight of the things that we take, also known as thyroid medication, do not have the same lock and key shape that our naturally produced thyroid has and holds. So we're unlocking no doors. It's problematic. And a lot of the times what we end up seeing is these medications, man, I'm just shitting all over it today. Ask me how I really feel. Okay. A lot of the times I just think that we so undermine and underestimate what our body is fucking capable of doing. Okay. And we use our brain, like where are we fucking brain dead, to try and override the somatic guidance that we're being given. And we seem to also overlook the fact that our physiology is intricate. It's delicate and it's intricate and it's changing every second of the day. So the chemistry Adrienne and I had 5 minutes ago looks completely different if we were to run a blood panel. And we think that we're going to take a subset of labs and apply a medication and make massive change. But your cycle, like your entire physiology is different 5 minutes to 5 minutes, 5 seconds to 5 seconds. Go the fuck outside and get some sun on your light. You really want to support your thyroid and your glandular system? Go the fuck outside. Get off your computer, put down your phone, turn off your indoor lights. Go outside and let your peepers be exposed to the full spectrum of medicine we have sitting outside. It's literally the best thing you can do for yourself.
And I'm also going to invite you to think about where do you cut off your voice?
Yes, because a lot of the times we carry weight, because we internalize.
Yes. And your thyroid gland is right over your throat chakra, guys. So like, where are you not expressing yourself? Where are you stuffing something down for the quote unquote good of the people, comfort of others, because it's an uncomfortable topic for you, fill in the blank, and you're not expressing yourself?
Yeah, I've been sitting with this a lot lately. I'm going to be 40 in June. It's right around the corner. Like so excited.
Welcome, friend.
Yes. Like I'm actually really excited to turn 40. Like I understand that in a lot of instances, that's a privilege. You know, it's a privilege to turn 40 and then traverse your 40s and then turn 50. Like, it's a privilege to age. And I don't want to look 20. Let me just put that out there too. Like, I have no desire to look 20 at 40. I want to look good for 40.
Mm-hmm.
And by good, I mean full of vitality and life and healthy, you know?
Yep.
But I think this notion that really, I think, more so plagues women than it does men. This notion that we're supposed to be digestible for everybody, liked by everybody, palatable for everybody is fucking horseshit. And I have, if I'm lucky, I know I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. I say it to myself all the time. I have at best 60 more years on this spinning fucking rock. Like, just take a minute to realize where we are. We are in the middle of a galaxy on a rock that spins faster than we can comprehend. Okay. We live next to people that come from all walks of life and share this space with animals from all different parts of the animal kingdom. Okay. You're never going to convince me that I was, at this point in my life, this has not always been the case, that I was placed here to be palatable for everybody, liked by everybody, that I was supposed to be quiet and that I needed to curtail my passion. Fuck every woman that said that to me. And I mean that from the bottom of my fucking heart. Okay. Fuck you for all the harm you caused, for every woman you ever said, you're just really angry. Bitch, yeah, I'm angry at you now too. Like, way to go. You made it into the Perkins Club. Like, don't say that to other women. Get curious.
Here's your t-shirt.
Yeah. Like, where does that passion come from? Tell me about it. You're really passionate about it. Like, get to know me. Right? Like, find out what's underneath. But you're never going to convince me that I'm here to wake up, work, pay bills, miss all of the beauty that exists outside my window, and die.
Mm-hmm.
And to the people that have constructed this system and benefit off of it, fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
The greatest act of rebellion that I can participate in is to have slow mornings, is to enjoy my matcha at my own pace, is to go outside and get to know every fucking bird that sits on the little post, right? Based on their call, is to talk to plants, is to walk around barefoot, is to put my fingers in the dirt, is to love my kid for who and what they are and let them be the human that they're here to be, right? Like, everything that I do in my life at this point is an act of rebellion against a system that tried to suffocate me, silence me, and minimize who I am as a human being. Like, I guess maybe 60 years left. Might as well make it fun.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It needs to be on my terms at this point. I feel like the further I go into my 40s, the more I'm like, this is my time, my terms. Like,
but how guilty? I just said this the other day to somebody. I was like, I am still working through feeling guilty for not having a full calendar.
Yes.
Yet not having a full calendar is exactly what I want. If I'm going to share my time with you, I need to know, client, friend, family, or otherwise, that there is going to be reciprocity. I need to know that we're both going to show up and walk away from the time that we spent together going, fuck, that filled my cup. Okay. And if I don't get the like tingly tit sensation from you, I'm not sorry, my time is not yours. That's my resource. I can't make more of it. I can't buy it back. Fuck the money. That'll figure itself out. Okay. But like, nothing is worth compromising that. Nothing. Well, Taylor, I have to pay bills. Yeah, I do too. Somehow, guys, every month, I'm good. And that didn't come from me controlling my way through it, forcing my way through it, clawing onto fear for the entire month. It's just like, show me what to do. Show me where I need to go. Tell me who I need to talk to. Let me know what. And every day I get that, like, okay, this is what I need you to do. And when I'm done, it is like an immense amount of trust that most people cannot even fathom. But I am not going to get to my deathbed and be like, I wish I had. Fuck that.
I was going to say, that is the biggest regret. If anybody who works in end of life care,
I did it for 3 years.
Yeah. Like, that is the number one thing that people say. I wish I had done this. I wish I had taken the trip. I wish I had done the hike. I wish I had seen the person.
I wish I had worked more.
Yeah. Nobody ever fucking says that. I wish I
I
had
said
worked more.
sorry. I wish I had that hard conversation earlier. I wish I had more time. I wish I spent more time cuddling my loved ones or giving more hugs or not so stuck in my mind. Oh God. And like death really brings out a side of family. It really like locks them together or completely and utterly tears them apart.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so like it's how do you want to spend your time? Right? Do you want to censor yourself and fit yourself into a box? I know I spent a huge amount of the younger years of my life giving way too much of a shit what everybody else thought and trying to be the perfect person, trying to essentially get an A on the test of being a human. Mm-hmm. How many of us are guilty of that shit? Like, I still have moments where I'm sitting when my husband walks in through the door and I'm on the couch and I'm, sitting and hovering with my son, right? Like I'm up and down off the floor. Right. He's figured out how to climb on top of the couch. And now the thermostat that's over the couch is like the most exciting thing for him. So I'm up and down off the couch, but he'll walk in the door and it looks like I'm not doing anything. And there were so many years at the beginning that I would feel like this immediate surge of like anxiety and
I need to do something.
I look like I've just been sitting and doing nothing all day. Mm-hmm. And then I would follow him around, essentially justifying my existence. Yeah. I did this today. I did this today. I did this today. I did this today. And like, I did an interview on Reproductive Rebel. It's been a couple years now. And the episode was called Woman's Worth. And I still remember the name of the episode because what the person I interviewed said was so profound. And it hit me right in the feels because she was talking about feeling like, this is the one moment I sat down for 2 seconds, and that's the moment that her now husband walked through the door. And she felt like she had to justify her existence. I was like, holy shit, I feel seen. I do that. And I hadn't identified that pattern in myself. It's like I had to justify everything that I had done during the day because I was home and I was working from home. And I would get burnt out on needing to do like the quote unquote stay at home mom tasks and also work full time. And so like it always seemed like that one moment that I had paused was the one moment that he was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, so that's the beautiful part of 40 is your field of fucks gets a lot more barren and you have to allow it because there was a huge period of time where I really wrestled with and struggled with this. I feel like I need to justify my existence and what it is that I'm doing or not doing and why I am or am not doing it, that I've done enough today in order to have earned my keep, right? And the further along I go, the less of a shit I give about that. And it's like, listen, the house is clean. The bills are getting paid. It's hard sometimes, but they're getting paid. The baby is happy. He feels safe in his nervous system. My kids have all been personally attended to. Now, am I the one running them to practice? Sometimes. My husband is shouldering more of that these days. And I am really grateful that he's doing that because it's, when you have a toddler, loading them in and out of a car seat starts becoming a full contact.
Yeah, it's an Olympic sport at that point. The car seat, the bag, the snacks. I don't know. Is he still in the bottle? Like the juicy cups. Like, yes, I remember that. I went to my girlfriends with kids at the beach now, and I'm like, I didn't give myself enough credit for how good of shape I was in my postpartum years because I was so fixated on loose skin. Yeah. Right. But I look at my girlfriends who have littles now, and I'm like, I show up with my chair these days. I ain't showing up with a wagon. I got my chair and my water bottle. I don't have a wagon and beach toys and snacks for the whole beach and sippy cups and, multiple changes of clothes. And I'm just like, bless you. You don't realize it when you're in it, how much you're doing.
And I'm also a bit of a minimalist, right? Like because of where I am in this phase of my life, I did all of the beach chair stuff. Yeah. Right. And now I'm at this point where I'm like, he's a baby. He doesn't care what this looks like. He just needs to be entertained. He will be entertained with car keys. Yeah. Like, I don't need to carry all this stuff. Although I did ask for like a sling crossbody backpack because my son is defiant around whether it walks on his own or not. can totally do it is totally choosing not to. He goes all loosey-goosey because he wants somebody to pick him up instead. And that's a story for another day. But anyway, I need a crossbody backpack because I'm trying to balance the weight, right? He's getting heavy. I move him one side to the other as much as I can. I wear him on a backpack as much as I can. And any way you look at it, a crossbody bag makes it simple, hands-free, and I can wear it in the front or I can wear it in the back, depending on how I have to maneuver the little person. But it's simplicity, right? Like, everything that I'm talking about, the giving too much of a shit what other people think and how you look to others when you know your worth, when you know what you've been doing, when you know that you have done work, showed up, everyone's alive, everyone's happy.
I think a lot of people know it logically.
Yeah.
But knowing it logically and understanding it in your nervous system are two very different things.
It is very hard. And I know that even just through my late 30s and into my early 40s, that has shifted. I remember I hit 40 and I was like in bed postpartum with my son. So I had this drive in my system that wanted to completely weed out my closet, throw out shit that didn't serve me, donate, just like all the things, right? Like I had this palatable drive that wanted to change the energy in how I moved through the world. And I just physically didn't have the energy to do it at that point. So it's like when my body finally caught up and I healed enough that I had more energy in my system. I mean, anybody who's watching this, you can see that I'm not full tank yet because the bag's underneath my eyes. Like I'm still working on it. I'm not 2 years post yet. I still have a ways to go. I have days where I feel fine and I have days where I want to nap. And I am able to hold more grace with that. Yes.
Like if you look at historically how humans operated, humans haven't changed. The environment around them has changed, right? So humans are built to have cycles throughout the day. We talked about infinite rhythms. I think I talked about it recently. Maybe we talked about it in our last podcast or last few, but like we operate off of multiple rhythms throughout the day. It's like the 8 hours of sleep myth. We're not actually designed to get 8 hours of sleep consecutively and in a row. We are designed to have a stint and then get up for a little bit and then have another stint and then get, it's just like we're designed to spend the majority of our time outside. We used to spend 70 hours a week outside. We're lucky if we get 3 in a week. Most people. And yet we're going to bat for modulated hormones, optimized mental health, you know, profound sleep. How do you think we produce melatonin? Is it inside under false lighting? No. And cortisol and melatonin have an inverse relationship. So the higher your cortisol is, the lower your melatonin is going to be. The more dysregulated your blood sugar is, the less melatonin you're going to produce. What are all of the disease states, if you will, that plague us? They're predominantly metabolically derived. I would argue every disease is a metabolic disease, cancer included. You know, so like, it's just fascinating to me how we have gotten so far away in our behavior. Guys, we are not an iPhone. We are the flip phone. Humans are the flip phone.
It's so true.
We live in an iPhone environment that is constantly getting iOS updates. Fuck. You know what I mean? Apple is constantly releasing updates to fix fucking bugs, right? So our environment is moving at a rapid pace, and our body is the most dense physical form that exists within the environment. Okay, we are the flip phone in the iPhone environment. Our body is just not going to make those updates, and we can't hack our way into it, supplement our way into it, therapize our way into it, think our way into it, cry, scream, dance our way into it. Like, we have got to, as a society, get back to what it basically means to be human. That means disconnecting from the environment that we live in.
Mhm.
No, I can't work extra hours. No, you can't contact me on the weekend. No, I can't spend every waking moment of my day inside your building.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll tell people who work in corporate offices, go for a walk at lunch.
Seriously.
Like 10, 15
Eat
minutes.
outside.
It doesn't have to be crazy.
Yeah. Oh, and also,
breathe air.
I know this was very opposite for me for a long time. I severely struggled with appetite. Like I severely struggled with appetite because it was stress related, right? My system was not optimized to digest. Our biggest meal of the day needs to be eaten earlier on in the day and while the sun is at peak. Okay. When do we eat our biggest meal?
Dinner, generally in Western culture.
And don't get me wrong, like when I have visited Mexico multiple times, they're eating at like 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, I don't know how you're doing this. I don't know how you're doing this. I mean, culturally, maybe they've adapted to that. I don't know. But physiologically, we are not prepped and primed to eat our largest meal at the end of the day. Everything declines. Like the sun rises and it sets. Guess what, guys? Our entire physiological, response rises and then it sets with the sun.
Mm-hmm.
So why in the fuck are we eating our biggest meal at the end of the day? You want to know why you feel bloated or your bowels are off or your blood sugar's fucked? And you can't figure it out, or why you can't get rid of the inner tube around your waist, generally speaking, because we're all eating our biggest meal at the end of the day because we've been taught that family time, in his, 1950s, 60s, everybody used to gather around the table and eat.
Yeah, but they used to gather around the table and eat at 5, 6 o'clock at night.
Right. Correct.
Because our work days weren't fucking ridiculously long.
Yeah.
The standard 9 to 5 boilerplate was still very much alive and well at that point in time. We ate earlier. There was a human home to make sure
that there was food ready
to eat earlier.
Yeah.
And that's not the reality now.
Yes.
And so Eastern modalities look at the peak middle of the day. So your heart window
midday
around noon to 2 is the best time to eat a bigger meal because you have more fire to digest things with. That's when you get your blue light in the middle of the day in order to help set up the cascade that you need in order to be able to downregulate.
Too. Like that middle of the day, everybody is terrified to go out in the sun in the middle of the day. Like we are getting ready to move into bathing suit season. And we're already seeing it here in Florida. I go to the beach and I'm asphyxiated by all of the aerosols that are being sprayed. And I'm like, can somebody please explain this logic to me? Your UVB ray blocking sunscreen is not actually blocking damage. It's just preventing the pink from letting you know that you've had too much sun and you need to seek shade. So the damage still exists, but the alarm system is being silenced.
I don't think many people realize that.
The damage is being, it's still happening, but the alarm, the pink, I want to turn pink. I want to know when it's time for me to go home. Like the pink on my skin is like, hey, we've had enough. Right.
That means that I'd be outside for 2.5 minutes and I'd have to go.
But I imagine over time it would build, Adrienne. Like I imagine over time.
It never has. It's bad.
Shade, right? Like umbrella. So for people who don't tan, like you go find an umbrella. You're still going to get the UV, like shaded sun is still effective. In the middle of summer in Florida, I can't do 20 minutes outside in the sun. I will melt. Okay. But I can stand under my banana tree for 20 minutes. I'm still getting the filtration of the UV full spectrum. I'm just not going to get torched while I'm doing it. And guess what? My peepers are still getting the medicine that's readily available with the full spectrum sun. It's interesting because full spectrum sun is detoxifying. It penetrates the endothelium. That's why when you go to the beach and you come home, you're exhausted. Your body has been exposed to medicine, probably far more than you needed. Right. And you've got this detoxification element that's happening on top of ozone, on top of nitric oxide, on top of vitamin D, which the most impactful way to get vitamin D production up is going out in the thing that we all fear. But just a friendly reminder, as we move into bathing suit season, your UVB sunscreen is literally only removing the signal that you need to know that it's time to seek shade.
Yep. We got a sunshade. Because I like being outside. but I
They're
burn
beautiful.
so easy. Like,
Yeah.
and I always have. Yay, my dad gave me those genes. My mom tans, beautiful olive complexion. I'm like,
Yeah.
girl, bye. I don't know.
But I think this is important, right? Because
me and Casper the ghost, like we.
But I think this is important because there's a lot of people out there that'll be like, I don't want to burn. Great. Then just seek shades.
Yeah.
It's interesting because my husband has this like Belgium, Hungarian background,
Yeah.
and I'm very English. I'm Irish, Black Irish though. Like there's a difference. Okay?
Yeah. See, I have Celtic origins. I
have
definitely not
Celtic.
Black
My
Irish.
mom definitely has Celtic. I am very white European. I don't know how to put it.
Me too.
With like a few pinches of Southeast Asian in there. Like my DNA profile is fascinating, but I tan.
Yeah, see, I don't.
You
I
know,
never
like
have.
I tan. All of my siblings tan. My dad gets dark. So does my mom. Like she gets her own variety of dark. But for the people that are like, I don't get dark and I don't tan, cool. My husband, like, we're very different. His tolerance of the sun and mine are very different. He's got to go under an umbrella. Like, sometimes within 30 minutes, he's got to go under an umbrella.
It's interesting because my husband is Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
So you would think like his body is built to be outside. He burns more than he tans.
Yeah.
And it's kind of wild. Like we actually both need the sunshade because.
But does he go outside in the morning, prep his peepers, get his 20 minutes, then go out in the middle of the day? Like every day he's going out and getting morning light for 20 minutes before touching his phone, before getting on the computer, before looking at the television.
His full-time job. Is being an iron worker. So he's outside all day long.
Okay.
So to your point, ever since he has started doing the current role that he is doing, he is outside less. He is outside during the day because of the nature of his job. But it's more intermittent. It's not, I start my day that way. I stay outside all day. And ever since that happened, he started having more issues regulating his metabolism. And he has had more issues with the sun, and it's funny because I say to him, I'm just like, I don't know if it's the Spaniard part or what, but he always used to get one burn and then he would tan the rest of the summer. Me, it doesn't matter. I burn, I peel,
and I know you go outside in the morning. I know you're religious about that, right? But like in biocircadian biology, one of the things that we learn is that morning light is a must.
Oh, it's so important. I feel so different since I started making that a practice. That was something that as I started questioning, am I stepping into perimenopause at the end of my 30s? Yeah. I was always like doing outdoory things, like attended my garden. We spend 5 months in a camper during the summertime. So like if I am not sleeping, I'm pretty much outside, which was like the most beautiful gift I think I ever gave my body and we gave our kids. And the sleep and all of those things changed. The mental health changed, all that kind of stuff. And like I can feel that like we're right on the brink of going to camp right now because I'm like, I get anxious when we come home from camp at the end of the season because I know that I'm going to have more indoor time.
You're going to hibernate a little bit.
Yeah, because I live in an area where there's a lot of snow. I do some outdoor activities, but I have a hard time with the respiratory aspect of being in the cold. It affects my lungs, dries them out, and all of that. So
I have Aquarian in your chart. Anybody with a heavy air element in their chart, oftentimes we see something called the allergic triad that presents with them, right? So for some people, it's upper respiratory. For other people, it's skin. For other people, it's congestion. But when there's heavy air in the chart, we can absolutely tie that to the allergic triad that presents. Being air hungry.
It's hard because like I have that feeling inside of my body like, oh, I just want to go outside. And I'll sit on my steps and I'll get my light and then I have to retreat because like I've never been able to enjoy, like we go snowshoeing sometimes and I love it, but then I cough for like 2 weeks afterwards. So
has Mullen ever helped with that?
A little bit,
but not really
not as much.
Or slippery elm or marshmallow, just with like all of those, like the component of lubricating the cell.
It helps some,
Mhm.
I'm not like every breath in, cough, cough on the way out, but it doesn't completely resolve it. No, because if it did, I would spend far more time outside in the winter. So like even walking in the winter time with the baby or by myself or whatever, like it just hard on my respiratory system. So I walk inside and I
On your
try
pad.
I have a walking pad in my office. So I walk in my office so that I'm getting the movement, but I make sure that I open the curtains and I'm spending time with the light. And if it's not so brutally cold, I can breathe. I sit on my front steps in the morning, but like this is the time of year where I'm getting really excited about the fact that I can be outside more.
Yeah.
Ticks are a little bit of a discouraging.
We need to do a whole podcast on Lyme disease. Really, we do, because of like what we're seeing with tick boxes being planted in fields of farmers. And like historically, it's interesting because when you attempt to dig into ticks as biowarfare, a lot of that information has been scrubbed from the internet and you're called a conspiracy theorist, but in reality, I dealt with Lyme disease. I've dealt with Babesia and Bartonella personally, and I can absolutely speak to the things that did not work. And absolutely did work. And I can tell you, like, the way that we address Lyme disease, it's a pharmaceutical plot, right? Because you're going to go on a triple cocktail of things. This is how we address them. But, Lyme is like a spirochete. It's going to burrow into your connective tissue. It's not a bloodborne issue. It's not a bloodborne pathogen. It's a connective tissue issue. We should really do a whole podcast on that. Now they're like developing a Lyme disease vaccine. Like, this is how we started this whole conversation. And like, I think Adrienne and I just want to make the dots clear so you can connect them, and then the piece about Ozempic that I didn't mention that I think is worth mentioning is like, I have seen some information that suggests that Ozempic could potentially have vaccine components in it too. And now we have the entire industry that was quote unquote anti-COVID vaccine, the health and wellness industry. How fucked is the health and wellness industry when we are literally like, let's use GLPs and peptides? And that's not what the health and wellness industry started as. No naturopath and or acupuncturist and or I'm going to leave it at that, right? Because that's essentially all I've worked with up to this point has ever historically been pro pharmaceutical. And we now have an entire industry that's getting behind these things. Y'all are lost.
Yeah. So for people who don't know what peptides are, because I feel like there's a far more conversation.
We produce
because I feel like there's a lot more conversation around GLP.
Yeah.
I'm seeing more coming out about peptides, but I think there's still a lot of people that don't quite know what that is. So can you elaborate on what they are?
Peptides are a component that we produce internally for various organ systems, right? So they're considered to be like a protein component, right? We can utilize them for modulation in the body. A lot of the times people are utilizing peptides for physiological modulation. I have personally worked with a doctor. I flew to Mexico to work with him, right? He was Harvard trained. The man was brilliant. And at the end of the day, his plan of care got a big from my body. You know what I mean? Like, oh, bro, you think you're going to override my intelligence? We're going to show you. Not only was I violently ill and everything was above board, you know what I mean? It was the same, if not better, of what you could get here, just at a far lesser rate. Right? Like, medical care in Mexico is actually quite sophisticated to, the shock and surprise of many, but they're utilized for modulation. So one of the things that I've utilized is thyroid peptides. Well, if you're introducing something into a system that one you produce and you're underproducing, you're confusing the system. Why all of a sudden do I have this component that's readily available to quell inflammation, right? To modulate, in part, this metabolic process. Okay. And also, a lot of the times it's temporary. So you have to take it again and again and again. And in my mind, I'm like, why wouldn't I just use that money to invest in really clean food? And why wouldn't I use that money to invest in herbs that I know I can take every day and over time that interest is going to compound? Why wouldn't I use that money to explore alternative support systems that don't require a physiological change in the biochemistry presentation, but actually upgrade the cellular component of it, insert frequency medicine? right? So like I've done it all, and peptides can be helpful for curtailing inflammation, and modulating certain things, but it's going to be temporary. So if you're good with paying X, and it's like hundreds of dollars at this point, right? Like if you're good at paying X number of dollars every month and injecting yourself with shit to feel your best, it's good on you, sis.
Yeah.
But if you're like, yeah, that sounds a little arduous and tedious and not necessarily where I want to spend my money, there are alternative options. But most of you are attempting to put shit into a system that's not. I was pretty prepped and primed, was doing way too much plant medicine. Okay. Like, think that's a big reason you witnessed me through that, why my system completely and utterly fucking crashed. It is absolutely where my system went haywire. And I truly believe, you guys are going to think I sound cuckoo, plant medicine is where I came in contact with a lot of things that implanted themselves. You are opening yourself up to realms that you don't understand what you're working with. And that burden in part is on your facilitator. And if you have a facilitator that doesn't fully explain and or understand themselves exactly what you're playing with, then you both should probably not participate. Right. But, like for the most part, I was a pretty optimized system, if you will, going to receive these interventions. This also included plasmapheresis, which is essentially removing blood, cleaning blood, and pumping it back in. Okay. So like, did it change my world? No. Did it rock my socks off? No. Did I have longstanding metabolic success with it? No. You witnessed that in my period. I am just now starting to see success in my period. Well, what's that coming from? I've removed all of my supplements. I rely heavily on herbs and I make it fun. I know you get this, but like for you listening, can you imagine looking at your supplement closet and it being full of vibrant color versus like fucking white bottles and capsules? Like, holy shit, I can make whatever I want from these 6 herbs and I can make it fun and I can make it taste good and I can sip it savory and like, oh my God, that's how it should be. I get outside, I get my light. There's no compromising that every morning, right? I move my body. We're currently swimming because bitch is not running in the middle of summer in Florida. Okay, I am not fucking good. So I'm going, the 70-year-olds are lapping me. It's okay. Like, if they can do it, I can do it too. Let's go. Swimming's hard.
Swimming is hard.
I'm like, damn, I can paddle a surfboard. This is harder, but like, I'm a person who requires variety. I need structure, but I need variety. So I'm always switching it up based on like what feels good, what's going to, scratch that appetite. But peptides, I know that was the original conversation in question, is something that if you're considering, I highly encourage you have a conversation and you ask hard questions. You want full informed consent. What is it that you're actually getting into? What does the peptide do? What is the duration of its impact? How often are you going to need to take it? How much is going to cost every month? Are there implications of you taking this peptide metabolically that could be problematic for other organ systems and physiological processes? The answer is yes.
Yes. And I encourage people, especially with GLP-1s also, because I feel like GLP-1s are starting to be pushed as the solve for menobelly.
It's really not.
And it's not. It actually creates a cascade of other things that you really don't want.
Look, I have the privilege of supporting a pharmacist who's very well informed. I love her, right? So like I ask her questions all the time because she works with a company that provides GLP-1s. They do it the right way. I will say that there's criteria you have to meet. There's a physician that's overseeing everything. There's obviously pharmacists on board, but there is research coming out that shows GLP-1s impact brain function and mood, that they impact libido and vitality, that they impact negatively in a detrimental capacity, that they impact bone density.
I was going to say bone density and muscle loss. Yep.
Yeah. So like, are we really losing weight or are we losing bone density?
Both. And you already, once you cross the 35 threshold, are seeing your body lose muscle mass anyway.
Yeah. So, I mean, just to wrap myself up here, what is wrong with accepting us right where we are? It's a work in progress for me. I do not have this figured out. Okay. Like I have a C-section scar that absolutely ails me routinely. I hate looking at it, but I massage it every night and tell it how much I love it. Okay. I place cups on it, you know, like I do self-massage on my abdomen. I sit on my acupressure mat. Like there's a lot that I do.
I love my stupid acupressure mat.
Honestly, you want to talk about biocircadian regulation? It's one of the best things you can do midday and before bed. 20 minutes on your acupressure mat.
I do it before bed.
Yep. Legs
oh my God, I love that thing.
Yeah. Like when I have a headache, the first place I go is my acupressure mat because a lot of the times it can solve the headache.
Yes.
Just opening the blood vessels, right? It's working with meridian points. It's moving chi, guys.
Yep.
Novel idea. There are literally modalities that have been doing this for 5,000 plus years. And here we are pumping ourselves full of pharmaceuticals and thinking we're fixing something.
That's a nice bow for this episode, considering that's where we started.
Hey, we made it back.
Yeah.
We made it back. Yeah. So on that note, I did not do this at the beginning. Sorry, Razel. Razel is the woman who puts up with us each podcast and makes it so that you all can listen all the way through without being like, get to the point. If you enjoyed this conversation and you've enjoyed other conversations and you have not yet hit subscribe, please do so. If you feel like this is an episode that other people in your world would benefit from, please share it. And we ask this every episode. I'd really love to hear more so from the people that love this podcast than the middle-aged white man that has something to share because he's unhappy in his world.
Oh, the one that chimed in the other week that essentially was like, oh, you have responsibilities, when I was talking about not feeling seen in all the things that I do. And I'm like, wow, yeah, I know I have responsibilities. I'm talking about like communication there, bro. Clearly, I feel bad for your partner.
Yeah.
If you think that I am attention seeking by saying this, it's more of like a community household situation. But yes, it's the middle-aged white men that have nothing better to do.
I don't understand. Oh my God, Taylor, wrap it up. But somebody said to me, the reason these guys respond to you is because you trigger them. So like, babe, let's unpack the trigger.
Yeah.
Like open invitation. What are you so triggered by? Why does it upset you that I'm sharing my perspective on the world, yet you want me to create space for yours in the comment after you left something that was like, my dog should shit all over it. I don't know, like pee on it and shit on it. Like, are you kidding me? That's your contribution to the world? Way to go, bro. So valuable. Like, get the fuck out of here. I don't know. So on that note, if you're not one of them, we would love to hear from you. It would be fantastic to have a conversation with somebody other than the middle-aged white man that is clearly depressed about something and feels like it's appropriate to spew hateful comments on a stranger's YouTube. It's a mental illness. I will say that through and through. Mental illness. So on that note, I will probably provide some references in the show notes regarding where you can further explore SSRIs and SNRIs. Nicholas Gonzalez's work was fascinating. I don't know if you're familiar with Nicholas Gonzalez, but he talked about like the metabolic impact of what we eat. Kelly Brogan, Harvard trained, another fantastic resource to learn about what these particular pharmaceuticals absolutely do. There's an entire study piloted up in New Jersey that looked at this in particular. I am sorry, I'm forgetting the name of the physicians that were running that. It was a male and a female. I want to say there's like Penny in their name. But there's a lot of information that one can dig into if they so choose, and just know that there are other options. And oftentimes things like anxiety and depression are your soul's way of trying to get your attention because you need to redirect. So on that note, until next time, guys, stay well.